All right, greetings. Welcome back to, excuse me, welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? It's a little early in the day for me to be doing a show. Not early in the day for me, period. I mean, I'm up very early every single day, pretty early in the morning, but doing other things, taking care of other businesses. But we're here, and I know it took me a little while to start the show. And I have to go do some other things, which is why we're doing the show a little bit early. But thanks for joining in, everybody. I appreciate you. Let's see. Thank you all for sending me articles and stuff. I forgot to mention that the oil article that I read at the beginning of the show yesterday, that was from Gabe, and Osama sent me the one about the father and son dying at the Big Bend National Forest. So thank you guys for sending these stories in. And Poppy sent me a bunch of stories today. Thank you, Poppy. And who else? Oh, Buddy posted something to my Facebook. That's how little I'm on. He posted something to my Facebook like a week ago, and I didn't even see it until yesterday. Just shows you how little I'm on Facebook. I have very little time for social media these days, so it's really hard. I have a hard time like having time to actually like scroll through social media. Unless I'm on Twitter, I do get a lot of things from Twitter. Obviously, when I'm doing my shows, I'm lining up a lot of things that I'm finding on Twitter. So Twitter's obviously a great source for news about various things. It's kind of a go-to. And I kind of do get a constant news feed, in my emails as well. But sometimes there's just more interesting things on Twitter. You get just better bits of information. But you were on a tear today, Poppy? Okay. How's everybody feeling? We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, and on Colin. What's up, Colin people? How you doing? First off, before I get into the show, a really good way to support the show, and the show does need your support in order to carry on. I have so many things going on. Trying to keep everything together, and this is why I'm moving the show around these days, is because I often have to go to work earlier in the day. So it really does make it easier if I'm getting some support in the show. It makes it easier to do the show. So bestest, most directest ways to support the show are Cash App at Red Llama Music, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, paypal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, buymeacoffee.com/Black Bear News. Those are the best ways to support the show. Yes, you can super chat me, but I often don't get those, not often. I won't get those for a month. They take 30%, sometimes not 2 months. Same with Rockfin. I do appreciate the super chats and the super raise, but I don't actually get those for a long time, and then maybe not even after a long time. So sometimes those things don't even make it to me, like way off into the future. Anyways, so there you go. All right. But thanks to all that support the show. A lot, everybody does support the show. You can also buy t-shirts on my website, Black Bear News t-shirts. The link is below in the description box. Also Patreon. I appreciate my Patreon supporters. You know who you are. All right. Justin Panopticon, who's that? I've never. Today's roundup of climate news for breakfast. Okay. Is that where you got all the stories, Poppy? Or are you getting other ones? Well, so there's still massive flooding going on in India. Massive floods after the heavy rains in Junagadh of Gujarat, India. And I've been showing these almost every day. I mean, that's a pretty massive flood. Also in the Middle East, high temperatures are still cooking. Middle East heat is not weakening, just the opposite. Always impressive temperatures at high elevations in Iran highlands with some world records beaten too. Today, 47.2 C at core. Night minimum temperatures are locally 30 C, even above 1,500 meters. 1,500 meters. Very brutal. So very warm at night in the Middle East, I'm sure. Difficult, if not impossible, to sleep if you don't have the ACs. And this is one of the ones Poppy sent me, retweeting Ryan Stauffer. What a map. Welcome to the new Pyrocene. Excessive heat advisories, warnings, fire weather, red flag warnings, air quality alerts. Yes, people getting still smoked out and choked out. CB is saying West Virginia, thick smoke, staying inside. Yeah. People are really getting walloped by the smoke. As I think Poppy sent me this one too. Cincinnati skyline in the smoke. This is June 26th, June 27th, and June 28th. This is how bad the smoke is. I mean, we've talked at, at length about how the fire started or where they came from or whatever. However, I don't think, regardless of how they were started, and, it's all kinds of theories, but the fires would not be raging if it weren't for a warmer conditions. It's called, tinderbox often. When things are dry and hot and the weather is just right for a big old fire. And that is, definitely due to the fact that we're living in a warming world. This is also another one that Poppy sent me. This is a good thread. This is a really good thread. Let's read through this. This is from Jeff McFadden. Everything which is built in the whole world using any materials and performing any function or purpose is made primarily by burning fossil fuels and applying the resultant heat, either directly or through a heat engine. Think about that. Think about this. Think about that. Made primarily by burning fossil fuels and applying the resultant heat. Right? That's how things are made. they're heated, they're cooked, melted, refined, distilled, right? You know, um, everything, every single thing, all. Number two, therefore, there is nothing which can be made to combat climate change. Nothing that can be made to combat climate change. The act of making it worsens climate change. Ooh. It's kind of getting to, you know, things that Joseph calls in and talks about. But a lot of people are, you know, understand the same thing. We're a heat engine. And there's a lot of heat in the things that we do. There's never a payback. Once emitted, the gases stay out until some ecosystem service removes them. I love that word, ecosystem service, or that term. I mean, it's funny that he's using it, but it implies that the ecosystem can be monetized because it's a service. It's providing a service. It's just working in the way that it's supposed to work and functioning in a way that it's supposed to function. And we should recognize that we shouldn't disturb that functioning of said service. Anyways, until some ecosystem service removes them, period. Ecosystem repair is the only productive work. Ecosystem repair is the only productive work. Right. And the thing, and I've also said this too, the thing that would encourage that ecosystem repair would be stopping of the things that we're doing, right? Just, you know, that would be the first thing. What we want to do is continue all the things we're doing and then maybe go do some repair over here on the ecosystems, right? Yeah, but we're still going to, industrial civilization marches on, but, you know, we're going to try and go over here to these mangroves and, or go over here to these forests and, you know, try and do some repair. Yeah, that's not how, the thing that you need to do is stop the thing that is destroying the ecosystems. That's the first thing you need to do. Then you repair, right? Because by stopping, you're going to start the repair already. Like, point in case the pandemic lockdowns. And I know I'm not even going to debate or go down the road of, like, you know, pros and cons of lockdowns. Lots of cons, of course. But one of the pros of the lockdowns was that, you know, humans just kind of stopping what they were doing en masse allowed nature to go, oh, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Right? That's what it did. It allowed, it's kind of like a smoker stopping smoking, you know, or a drinker stopping drinking. You stop the right? As soon as you stop smoking, your lungs start to repair. Now, are there long-term consequences of smoking, 20 or 30 years down the road, right? Your lungs start to repair, but maybe they might not always repair, or maybe they might be in a state where they're more susceptible to cancer or emphysema or other diseases. That may be the case, but when you stop smoking, immediately your lungs and your whole body starts to repair. When you stop drinking, your liver, everything, your entire body starts to repair. If you're not way far down the road where it could, stopping drinking could have the effect of sending you into a heart attack. And we may be at that point too, right? Where if we halt all emissions immediately, if we halt industrial civilization immediately, what we might get is actually an abrupt jump in heating from the loss of global dimming, which wouldn't be good for the planet Earth. But I still think as best you can, So that leads us into the conversation of a managed drawdown, which is what they do with people who are addicts or alcoholics. Okay, you can't quit cold turkey because you might send your system into shock. So what you want to do is, manage your intake a little less every day, or a little, until you get to a point where your body can take an eventual, most people will say, well, cold turkey is the only way to go. I don't know. Anyways, we can get into the weeds about like the best way to deal with climate change, the pros and cons of various things. But I'm just a fan of stopping the thing, because when you stop, sure, we might get some heating, but there's also the pro of stopping the destruction. And, so I wonder about that too. As with addicts, oftentimes the best way is cold turkey. Get off of it. Put yourself in a place where you can be monitored and maybe get some help if you do have a reaction to stopping. But, the best way to go is just get off it. So, and I feel the same way about the planet Earth. The best way to go is just to stop. Oh, what about global dimming? I don't know. Just stop, though, because we're going to do all the bargaining with we need a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we need to do, I don't know. But I bet you, as with an alcoholic, if you just stop, the repair starts immediately, So, yeah, we'll get some heating from global dimming, but we also will get some immediate repair, right? The forests and the lakes and the ecosystem, the rivers, everything will immediately start, to function better again, right? Carbon sequestration might start happening, apace, because we've stopped the destruction. So that might actually kind of even out the whole global dimming thing. Anyways, let's keep going. 3, the Biden administration has created lots of jobs. They have created those jobs. Jobs are also adding to the destruction, by the way. Jobs under high energy paradigm, and it's not an exaggeration. It is measurably a fact that under the high energy paradigm, every new job is an increase in annual energy throughput. Fossil energy. Every new job. Right. Every new job is adding to the destruction. So when you hear people talk about jobs, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, and we're creating jobs. You're creating destruction. I know, it's a weird thing to think about. What do we do without jobs? I don't know. We can't figure out another way to live on the planet. We have never lived another way on the planet. This is the only way that humans have ever lived on the planet. I mean, come on, man. But people are thoroughly brainwashed, hypnotized, transfixed with the idea that this is the only way that we can live on the planet. This is the bestest and the bestest way. I don't know. 4, the only way to fix it is with a different paradigm. We need to look at every task which we are already performing at our total economy and social construction and say, how can we reduce energy in that task right now with no upfront energy expenditure? We can drive slower. We need to look at, we can drive slower, or we could, or to take that a little further, stop driving. That would be one, and again, that's a pro of the lockdown. It actually got people to just stop driving. Stop driving your car. Leave it parked in the driveway. We need to look at where our energy consumption is growing right now, today, and challenge that growth. Yelling about new oil wells is not addressing the point. The point is that the high energy economy is growing. This is so simple, most people can't see it. Building highways, knowing what we know, is a crime against humanity. Yes, infrastructure is the thing. Infrastructure, the very thought, we can't retool our infrastructure. We have to stop the infrastructure. The infrastructure needs to stop. The infrastructure facilitates the destruction. The infrastructure in it of itself is the destruction. Stop with the infrastructure. Stop building as they're pounding and building next door. Because you got to build more. Building highways, knowing what we know, is a crime against humanity. I've been outraged about it since the bipartisan infrastructure framework was passed. Nobody else objects, not publicly. 10,000 roadblocks for the climate, spreading pain on art, but nobody objected to the bipartisan infrastructure framework. Nobody goes out and blocks highway construction sites, right? That's what he was trying to say. Right. Nobody goes out and blocks highway construction sites or any construction sites. Highway construction is a fossil fuel hog like almost no other human activity. If concrete were a nation, it would be the third largest emitter after us and China. And it can never catch us because we're the ones pouring the concrete. There's no voice heard in public who can speak out about the climate as a concerned spokesman. UN, some NGO, this or that certified scientist, trademark, who doesn't throw in like a Baptist says, God willing, that renewables are necessary. No, they are not. They are a major source. The government is paying people to buy electric bikes and electric cars, which going upstream to sources is increasing copper mining, lithium mining, concrete, factory construction, demands for fossil fuel heats and motion, every new thing made everywhere, fossil heat. Electric scooters in downtown Kansas City. If the people walk, there will be more opportunity to sell them products per city block than if they ride by at 15 miles per hour. This is nothing more or less than burning fossil energy for fun. At least admit it. 11, everybody just say, well, we'd like to give a shit about the climate, but aren't those scooters fun? We already had a problem. All this green growth is not helping. Seriously, physics always applies. Its restraints are absolute. There is no such thing as 110%. 12, it is an irrefutable fact that speed is energy. Just as sure as a temperature number is a measure of energy, so is a speed number. I don't care what is speeding. A car, a truck, a jet plane, a conveyor belt, a CNC milling machine. Speed is energy. Slowing down is reducing. 13, not 13. It's like a holy hand grenade. All right, sorry. 13, not doing some action is reducing. Not bulldozing a hill. Not doing an action is reducing. Not constructing, not making, not doing, not buying, not moving, not shipping. Not bulldozing a hill, not smelting steel, not smelting sand into glass or silicone crystal. All those actions are powered by fossil fuel fire. If you don't do the thing, you don't burn the fuel. If you do it, you burn it. It is absolute. Reuse, recycle. We have so many things. We've built all the thousands of metric tons, millions of metric tons. I don't even know what the number is. It's astronomical. The metric tonnage of the things that we have built. There is enough in the world for everybody to scavenge and repurpose and put together all the things that they could ever possibly need, ever. Right? There are people with garages full of, unused bikes and instruments and whatever else, right? There are mansions and homes everywhere filled with unused, barely touched, never touched things that are in perfectly working condition. We don't need to build any more things. We don't need to make any more things. You don't need to go buy a new thing of anything. We have enough clothes. There are landfills filled with clothes that can't be sold in Chile. There are closets and closets and closets full of shoes and clothes that, one person can't ever possibly wear. But there are plenty of clothes to go around. The one thing we need to worry about is food. That's the only thing we need to worry about is food. And if everybody stopped what they were doing and started growing their own food collectively in your community, if everybody just tore up their front lawns or their back lawns or whatever, their gardens, and just started growing all the food that they could possibly need and started, living a life not unlike the Amish. If everybody did that immediately, the planet would go, oh, thank you. Oh my God. Oh, this is great. We could gainfully and productively employ tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people doing careful hand and eye ecosystem restoration. Not planting monocrop tree forests on a box grid with a diesel planter, but plant a complex variety of plants. Many food-bearing nuts, fruits, plants for fiber and plants for shelter, plants to feed ourselves and our animal helpers, clean up the fucking plastic, for crying out loud. The United States is an open-air dumpster. People on foot, donkey-drawn trash wagons, cooks, and a chuck wagon. Yes, he's saying exactly what I've been saying. If we quit doing everything by burning fossil fuels to run some machine to do 99.9999% of the heavy lifting, we could employ every unemployed, not qualified for spreadsheet, not really all that bright person in the country and let them feel needed. The whole conversation about keeping it like it is only clean. Only. I don't get that. We're going the wrong way. Our worst problem isn't our emissions. Our worst problem is the damage we do with all this effing energy. We've got to slow down, and we will, one way or another. Oh, thanks for posting that, Poppy. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's a great thread. Thank you for sending that my way. And we could get back to the, almost, you could call it biblical idea, that we live in a paradise. We have all the things that we need. And no, we don't have mortality. And, maybe we won't have movies on Netflix, or maybe we won't, maybe we will. I don't know. Maybe we won't have video games and all the entertainment, or metaverse headsets, but we'll have something called life, and we made all this stuff up because we're bored anyways. Our problem really, I think one of our main problems isn't, well, what do we do? How do we organize ourselves? And what do we do? How will we fix the problems of humanity? Actually, one of the biggest problems of humanity is just straight up boredom. Or the idea that, people have these designs to chop down truffula trees and sell people thneeds, right? People get these ideas and because they have this excess, brain power and energy. Well, what about this? Why don't we try this out? And we'll foist this on humanity, or foist this idea on the world. And everybody just stands around and goes, oh, that's interesting that you're doing that. Nobody goes like, hey, calm down, chief. Why don't you go, I don't know what, go for a walk, go to the pub, go, I don't know, do something with yourself and stop with all the ideas about I think we can, I got a great idea. It's just straight up like boredom and or working. I don't know. It's not. I can't find the word. Opportunism, I guess. Boredom dressed up as opportunism. Oh, it'd be, well, let's try this. This is not, man, we're full of great ideas. We're full of interesting, amazing. What if man could fly? Okay, well, we figured that one out. Great. Does it need to happen? That's the thing. It's an awesome idea. It's an awesome thing we can do. Pretty cool. Wow. Or beyond pretty cool. Wow, we can fly. That's pretty amazing. But does it need to happen? Is it necessary? I don't know. What's up, Brady?
I just wanted to defend good ideas. And trust me, there are plenty of people out there who push back every time someone has a good idea. But I would offer that going to the pub is not necessarily a better way to spend your life.
I mean, I just, why not?
I work.
It was a suggestion. I mean,
I get paid to go to the bars. Like, there's no way I'm going to a bar unless I'm getting paid.
I mean, me too. I don't drink, so I don't drink, and so I'm not going to be one of the people going to the pub. But for some people, that's perfectly fine relaxation. But I wouldn't go to the pub. I would probably go for a walk. I would go for a hike. I would go to the beach. I'd go for a bike ride. I don't know.
Yeah, if you examine alcoholics in real life, like, I think you'll find pretty quickly that they aren't living very happy lives. And it's the people who are in pursuit of good ideas.
Oh, you broke up there a little bit, Brady. Brady, you still there?
I can use the gulag.
You all right, man? I can't. Your signal seems to be pretty bad. I couldn't really hear the last couple things you were saying. So, and I wanted to hear what your ideas were, but I don't know what. I think you're muted again. Anyways, all right. Well, Brady, you're still on. If you want to come back and speak, you're muted. I think your signal wasn't going very well. Anyways, that was a really good. Thread, and he's correct. Here's another one from Poppy. Earth's jet streams look as chaotic as Van Gogh right now. It does kind of look like a Van Gogh painting, doesn't it? The currents of air that wrap around our planet are becoming unrecognizable to climate scientists. Some have even compared the chaotic pattern of the jet streams to a Van Gogh painting. The southern part of the jet stream over North America is completely broken apart and is currently trapped in a vicious revolution that has triggered an off-the-chart heat wave. While it's normal for the air currents to stop, split apart, recombine, and flow in opposite directions, on average, these tropospheric air streams are typically quite continuous over long distances. That's why it's called a jet stream, which used to circle the planet in a kind of a continuous way. And now it's all over the place. On average, these tropospheric air streams are typically quite continuous over long distances with an overall west to east flow. The current fragmentation is unlike anything specialists have seen before. When I look at this jet stream, the word insane comes to mind. Tweeted the chief meteorologist of a local Florida news station, Jeff Biradelli. This configuration, likely enhanced by climate heating, is fueling a record heat dome so extreme that even experts are astonished, amazed, confounded. The climate scientist and author Michael Mann was quick to reply to Biradelli's tweet. Mann has studied planetary wave behavior for years now, and yet online he said that he's rarely seen such a disjointed configuration. But that wouldn't be any kind of doomism, would it, Michael Mann? Don't be too doomy, or you're a conspiracy theorist. Recent evidence suggests climate change could cause more blockages than usual by slowing down jet streams so they break apart, causing chaotic weather on the ground. That seems to be what's happening right now in North America. I wonder what Michael Mann would say to the last thread that I read. I wonder what Michael Mann would have to say about that. Would he think that was a good thread, a bad thread? Would he, say it's a balderdash? Would he call that guy a crazy loon? I don't know. I wonder. Mann explains that El Nino has likely exacerbated the situation too. I'm honestly at a loss to even characterize the current large-scale planetary wave pattern, he tweeted. Even the average layperson can clearly see the differences when comparing a normal pattern of jet streams to what's occurring today. At the moment, Mann describes the jet streams over North America as slow and wobbly, which is probably a result of climate change. Last year, a study found warming temperatures in the Arctic were specifically weakening jet streams in the northern hemisphere. What's more, because of El Nino, the paths of these jet streams have also changed latitude, exposing the southern regions of the U.S. to the heat dome. In the United States alone, 40 million people are currently under high heat alert. And in the last week, there have been widespread power outages. The center of the heat dome sits over Mexico and has already caused a mass death of birds. So that a different mass death of birds than the one I was reading about the other day? Huh. The climatologist Maximiliano Herrera apparently told Biridelli that the heat wave in some parts of Mexico is like a Category 7. Category 5 is the highest actual ranking on the heat index scale, defined as beyond extreme heat. Herrera is essentially arguing we're now beyond previous extremes. It's simply something in its own league. Nothing like this can even attempt to compare. Records obliterated all over with insane margins and beating as many as 7 days in a row. Nor is there a sign of heat wave ending anytime soon. In the past, strange jet stream patterns in Earth's atmosphere have coincided with extreme weather events in both the northern and southern hemispheres, although usually not in both at the same time. Right now, though, even the southern hemisphere's jet stream looks out of whack. It's out of whack. This week in southern Australia, for example, a jet stream is bringing unusually wet weather to some regions of the nation, and back up north, Atlantic hurricane season is starting to brew months early. Meanwhile, sea surface temperatures have already soared into uncharted territory and don't seem to be returning to normal levels anytime soon. This has already caused mass fish deaths and marine mammal poisonings, and all before the El Nino has properly set in. All right. It's now clear that Earth's climate system is way out of kilter, and we should be very concerned, Central Queensland University environmental geographist Steve Turton explained for The Conversation. From pole to pole, the winds of change are here. The climate crisis is no longer a future problem. It's happening right now before our eyes. All right. I mean, and all of these things are obviously happening, right? Excessive heat warning issued for North Texas. Jeez. And then Buddy sent me this about Himalayan glaciers. Melton. I don't think I'm going to play the whole thing, but here you go.
The world's tallest mountains are losing ice, which could pose a serious danger to humanity. That's according to a new report from the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. The agency, which oversees the Hindu Kush Himalayas, says changes to the glaciers, snow, and permafrost are unprecedented and largely irreversible. The report also warns 2 billion people are at risk. To discuss the report, I am joined by Isabella Kogel, the Deputy Director General of the agency that authored the report. Isabella, the 2 billion people either live in the region or are downstream from the mountains. What will these melting glaciers mean in the next few decades?
Thank you. So, yes, the crisis is getting worse, and it's getting worse fast. That's why this report is so important. It needs to trigger rapid and urgent action, even if this feels remote to us sitting far away from this region. It is going to affect us all, whether that's through the mass movement of peoples or through sea level rise. I live and work in Nepal. I've traveled to India, to Bhutan, and to Bangladesh. And I've seen how farmers are subject to changing weather patterns and subject to complete crop failure because of increasing pests and diseases. We have whole herds of yak, which are mountain oxen, that are wiped out overnight through an unexpected snowfall. We have massive floods happening every year that wipe out homes, that wipe out whole communities, that wipe out farmlands. We've got new diseases coming up to these mountains, such as dengue, which are, again, killing children, killing the elderly. There's a whole cornucopia of complex, extreme risks that are facing us in these mountains today.
And let me go back to something you said before, which was the risk internationally that goes beyond just the geographical region in which this mountain range exists. Help us understand that a little bit better.
So the Himalayas are the third largest ice mass on Earth. When the glaciers in the Himalayas melt, the ice sheets in Greenland, Arctic, and Antarctica are also melting. This means that there will be sea level rise. There'll be quite dramatic changes in ocean circulation as a result of increased fresh water into the oceans. And this will have huge impacts on us all. Equally, the people who are losing their livelihoods, of which there are 2 billion, that's a quarter of the world's population, where will they go? Where will they go? They will have to go and find safer places to live in. And
I'm going to end that right there. It's a bit of a longer video, but I mean, all of these things are really happening. And you can question. I don't know. So many people are questioning, like, still, is climate change real? Is this really happening? Is this you might question the science? I don't know. I'm at a loss for words because it's hard for me to actually fathom that people can't see something so obviously, right in front of their face that's happening. But I mean, you can't deny that things are really different on the planet. You can't deny that events, weather events are happening that are kind of outside the scope of normalcy. Ice caps are melting, glaciers are melting, droughts are happening. Last year, with all the major rivers of the world running, low at the same time, I don't know how the sheer scale of the physics that might be involved in concocting something like that, or you just can't. It's massive. The Earth is obviously a huge, massive place, which is the reason why a lot of people think that we can't possibly be destroying the Earth, because the Earth is so big and we are so small and blah, blah, blah. But, we collectively, and with all of the things that we are doing, the fossil fueled ventures that we have been doing for a couple centuries now, we do have the power to change what's happening on Earth, to terraform the planet. Terror form. Sorry. Welcome to the terraform. We're seeing the results of that terraforming. What can I say, right? For centuries and for about a century, maybe a little over a century, and for decades, people have been saying, hey, if we do this thing, these things will happen. And now here today, right now on this planet, we're seeing these things are happening. These things are happening part. I don't know. I saw Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore had a clip the other day about Greta Thunberg like taking down. I don't know. I'm a little bit fairly skeptical about Greta Thunberg's seriousness these days, but and I do believe that she's not, that she's a figure that's put out there to maybe, rile people up or get people, onto a particular wavelength, as far as propaganda goes. But beyond whether Greta Thunberg is predicting, basically what it was he was calling out Greta Thunberg for taking down a tweet in which she said that if we don't quit fossil fuels in 5 years, then life on Earth will end. Something to that effect. But there was a misunderstanding about. Everybody took it to mean like that it would be the end of the Earth in 5 years or whatever. But what she meant was, if we don't end the use of fossil fuels within a certain amount of time, then we will surely, confirm the end of life on Earth. That's what she meant. Why did she take it down? I don't know. Was she getting a lot of grief? Were people trolling her? Were people, I don't know. Were people badgering her? I don't know. It could be a multitude of reasons. It's interesting when people delete tweets. Sometimes people delete tweets because maybe people are misunderstanding what they're saying. I don't know. But all that is to say that you can, Jimmy Dore kind of calling out Greta Thunberg and kind of implying that, like, well, we haven't seen the climate change yet. Are you saying Greta splaining? I don't know. Anyways, calling out Greta Thunberg, for a tweet and say, kind of implying that we haven't seen climate change yet. We haven't seen any climate change. I don't know how you can be alive on the planet anywhere, right? California is actually enjoying some respite from the rest of the heat that the country is feeling right now. We're very lucky right now in our summertime coolness. But a few months ago, we were experiencing 14 atmospheric rivers in a row, and quadruple times the amount of snowfall that most places would get. We were seeing people's lives ended because of this extreme weather. That would be climate change. That would be, that's an extreme weather event. Golly gee, if I only knew a little bit about climate change and climate science, I could see how that could happen. Right? And I don't know, you can couple that with like all the heat wave events that are happening all around the world, all the glaciers melting, all the, et cetera, et cetera. If you were paying attention, you'd go like, there's something definitely different going on the planet these days. So I don't know. Again, if anybody has any, super legit studies by some super legit climate scientists that tells me that no, it's really not happening, please send it my way so I can skip merrily down the street and do a show about other things. I guess. I don't know. Judy Truitt says Jimmy Dore is not full on the climate change boat yet, though he did agree there may be a population problem. Really? Is that recently? I mean, that's interesting too. There may be a population problem. When people get to it, I hear all kinds of people say stuff like that. Even people that don't believe in climate change, could say like, well, yeah, there's a lot of humans kind of wrecking the planet over here. Oh, okay. But we're not causing climate change. That was one of his recent shows. Really, very interesting. I wonder. I would like to hear that out of his. I would like to hear what he has to say about that. He agrees we have a population problem. Here's an interesting thing. I mean, I've heard lots of people agree with, that some of the things that the WEF is doing, or that, or Bill Gates. Maybe Bill Gates is the WEF. I don't know. It's the same, one and the same. People that bring up, RFK Jr. in his book about, called out Bill Gates for a lot of the things he was doing with vaccines and other vaccines as a tool of depopulation, right? So, okay, sure, I can go along with that theory, or I'm willing to take that in. But RFK Jr., called him out for maybe possibly trying to do something like this, something as nefarious as that, through the use of medicines or vaccines or other things. And then he said, however, I do agree that too many people on the planet using too many resources could put us, lead us down a dystopian, nightmarish path. I was like, so you know this is a problem. So you understand this is a problem. What are we going to do? You may not think that Bill Gates doing whatever he's doing, or the WEF, or anybody, they're anti-human. They want a depopulation agenda. Okay, you may not agree with what these people are doing, or how they're trying to do it, and all that is fine and well. And I would probably agree with everybody on that same line of thinking. But if you actually understand that there is a problem, then why can't you have a conversation about the problem? And that's all of this, all of the, well, it's anti-human and these people want to kill you. They hate you and they want to kill you. Okay, that's fine. But all that is creating this idea that like anybody having a conversation about that is some kind of crazed lunatic. And it's an issue that people can recognize as a legitimate problem. And I don't see why we can't have a conversation about that in a calm, rational manner. In the same way that James Corbett was talking about kicking farmers off the land in the Netherlands, or he's talking about the fertilizer emissions, the nitrogen issue, and everybody is talking about this problem. Why are they doing this? Why are they kicking the farmers off the land? This is ridiculous. This is how this isn't going to fix climate change. All we can discuss all the parameters of that, and I would probably agree with. I'd probably agree with that's maybe the wrong way to do it. However, James Corbett went on to say, well, it is an issue that we need to address. Okay, so can we, instead of just going, at these people and kind of almost at the problem, as if the problem is the problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? People are going at overpopulation, the discussion of overpopulation as if the problem is the problem. Oh, they're talking about overpopulation. That means that they're crazed lunatics and they hate you and they're anti-human. No, not at all. If we destroy the earth, thus destroying all of humanity due to overpopulation, well, that's not an anti-human conversation. That's actually like, maybe humans could stop destroying themselves before they destroy themselves. That's not anti-human on any level. And if you say, well, they're trying to kick these farmers off the land to deal with this issue of nitrogen, you almost discuss it as if the problem is the problem. Well, this is silly that they're talking about cows and cow farts and making it seem like it's a silly. No, it is a freaking issue I'm conflating two different things. I know cow farts and meth, that's a different issue than nitrogen. But I'm just saying, they're trying to kick them off the land to deal with this thing, this, climate change. Ha ha ha. The issue is, the problem is not the problem. The problem is a problem that we should be talking about, and what's the best way to deal with this problem. If James Corbett can understand that nitrogen is an issue, then what's the best way to deal with it, James Corbett? Instead of just like pointing at these people and saying, they're doing it the wrong way. Sure. But that doesn't mean that everybody should be having a conversation about, well, what are we going to do about nitrogen emissions? What are we going to do about methane emissions? What are we going to do about, cooking the planet with the use of fossil fuels? What are we going to do about cooking the planet with the overuse of resources? And too many people on the planet, thus cooking the planet. The problem is not the problem. Maybe the solution is one that you don't like, or the solution, the people trying to give you the wrong solution, that could be a problem. But the problem is not, the problem is a problem that we should be discussing, not, seen as like, oh, well, they're talking about climate. Oh, they're talking about nitrogen emissions. Well, that's silly. They're talking about methane, cow farts. They're talking about the weather. Okay, yeah, well, the weather will kill your ass. Dumb. The weather will kill your ass if you're in the wrong kind of weather. If you're in the wrong, place at the wrong time, the weather will definitely kill you, and then it's not really funny. Oh, they're talking about the weather. Yeah, well, the weather will take you out. If it's 119 degrees and you're hiking in 119 degrees weather at Big Bend National Forest, the weather just killed you. It's not it's not a point. Anyways, that was a long rant at the end of this video that I wasn't really expecting to get into, and now I've got to go. All right, guys, thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. One more time, the very best ways to support the show, most directest and bestest, paypal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, Cash App at Red Llama Music, buymeacoffee.com/BlackBearNews. And there are all the other ways as well. These links are all in the description box. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And until next time, peace.